Sir Isaac Newton, the guy who came up with the 3 laws of physics. Not to be confused with Isaac Newton of San Francisco, who probably hasn't come up with laws for physics. So, you want to learn about these laws that Newton came up with. Well, they are pretty straightforward, and you probably know more about them than you originally thought. The first law is an object at rest will remain at rest unless acted upon by an unbalanced force. Take, for example, these 2 cubes. The first cube is acted upon by 2 unbalanced forces, gravity, and that second cube. You can see that once the gravity is done gravitying, it gets hit by the second cube, causing it to go flying. But that is not very applicable in real life, so let's spice it up. Now you can see that the cube is getting hit by a car, and it still goes flying because the car moving is an unbalanced force. Now, the second law. The acceleration of an object depends on the mass of the object and the amount of force applied, which, in simpler terms, is that how fast an object can get moving depends on how heavy it is and how hard it is being moved. So, for instance, this plastic bag can just freely drift through the air because it doesn't have a lot of mass, and the force being applied is enough to get it to accelerate. Now, this garbage bag, on the other hand, has a higher mass because it probably is chock full of garbage, so the same amount of force being applied to it is not enough to get it moving. And finally, the third law. Probably the most quoted law. Every action has an equal and opposite reaction, and this principle is exactly how rowboats work. The oars push back and the boat goes forward because the water pushes on the oars as they go through the water, which gives the oars essentially something to push off of, much like how when you jump off a dock into water, you push back on the wood and you go forward. That might have been too confusing, but the law itself is pretty self-explanatory, so, Those were Newton's 3 laws, explained by somebody who is unqualified to explain Newton's 3 laws.